Good morning. It gives us great pleasure to welcome you to the fourth graduation ceremony of the Kautilya School of Public Policy. Thank you for joining us to celebrate the achievements of our graduating students. It also gives us great pleasure to welcome our chief guest, Shri Amitabh Kant, former CEO of the NITI Aayog. Sir, we are honored to have you with us here today. Thank you for agreeing to grace the occasion. May I now ask everyone to remain standing for the national song. Thank you. Now I request our chief guest, Shri Amitabh Kant, the University President Shri Bharat Garu, and Geetam's Vice Chancellor, Professor Errol D'Souza, to initiate the proceedings by lighting the ceremonial lamp. Thank you. I now request the President of Geetam and co-founder of the Kautilya School of Public Policy, Sri Bharat Garu, to deliver his address.
Morning, students, family members, faculty, staff. We have a guest in our audience, the US Consul General. Welcome, ma'am. And our chief guest, Amitabh Kant ji, and the leadership on the dais. I feel sad that I haven't been able to engage with you students as much as I would like. And so fast graduation has already come. But I hope in the leadership of our Dean Syed Akbaruddin, you've been well taken care of. Over the last 2 years, you may have come here with many thoughts, but what I've heard from my mentees and others is the rigor is far more than you expected. But quite soon you've settled into that. And I keep following you on LinkedIn, some of the students, the way you speak. And when I see alumni 4 years out, writing about how Kautilya has impacted them, it gives me a lot of joy that I think we're headed in the right direction. Now you are adding to that list of alumni. And every graduation speech, I tell you students that in startups, we invest money, hopefully because one will become a unicorn or more than one will become. In your case, we're investing in all of you. Hopefully, more than one or a few are going to become incorruptible leaders, public policy professionals for society. I think this is the intent with which Pratik and I started this school. Over the last 2 years as a member of parliament, I have been engaging with all kinds of people, young talent, LAMP fellows, public policy professionals, politicians who've had a public policy background, officers. I think with good education, you can get skills, a good network, confidence even. But what is unpredictable is intent. So I don't want to become a shop for mercenaries. You pick up all the skills and you use those skills to not further the goals of our constitution and our society, but rather use those to serve yourself. The path that you're headed on is not very remunerative, and it is also not one in which jobs are very easily available, as I'm sure you are experiencing. But if it has given you the confidence over the last 2 years that you have shifted from where you began, now you believe in yourself, you have confidence, and you know that you're going to go out there and add value, be patient. You will find something. But don't settle for less in terms of ambition, not in terms of money. We want you to dream big, because I participate in a lot of parliamentary committees, and the number of parliament members who participate, regardless of education, regardless of capability, intent, everyone brings some unique perspective. Some are far more committed than others. We would like to see you, that's my personal desire. some of you becoming politicians someday, not immediately. First, secure yourself financially, so at least you're not worried about where your next meal is coming from. The country, I think, is moving in the right direction. I want to give you 2 examples of things that I have done which have given me and are giving me a lot of joy over the last 8 months. One, I have been part of a committee, Jan Vishwas 2, which I don't know if you have been following. There were 2 authors, among others, who wrote a book called Jailed for Doing Business. And in that, they identified that in the rules of India, processes, there are about 69,000 provisions that you need to comply to do business in India, of which around 26,000 attract criminal action if you don't follow. So that is why they wrote Jailed for Doing Business. So the government, under the leadership of the Prime Minister, and there's a committee under the leadership of former Cabinet Secretary Rajiv Gauba, said, we need to change this. So they invited those people, they engaged with them, and they said, let's start this. So this first exercise happened in 2023, where they decriminalized about 200 provisions. This time also, the mandate of the committee was to do 300. But over the course of our committee, we were quite eager, and the minister and the team was also happy to give us a larger responsibility. Now I think we've reached about 1,000 provisions, cutting across 79 acts, and we sat through each act. Things that impact all of us: motor vehicles, food safety, drugs, electricity. And all members of the committee, opposition, ruling, were equally committed in participating. And at the end, when we passed the bill this session, I felt very fulfilled that in Parliament, you don't get opportunity to speak, and as a part of the ruling disposition, you can't be as free as you can when you're in the opposition. But this committee, I think, really moves the needle on how people experience India. The other one is the new higher education bill that will impact us at Geetam also. I think I'm the only member of the committee that is an institution leader, and it's still not done, but early days, I'm really excited. And this is where I feel that even one line, one comma, I used to say this before I became a parliament member, I've actually done it. There are places where one line, one comma made a difference in how it impacts the entire country. So I think you are entering into a field where these things matter. Even the public policy articles you write, suggestions you make, where accepted, will impact a wide section of society. So I hope these 2 years has given you the desire, the strength to walk down this path. Because when you're outside the system, you're agitated, you want to do good. But I have found that once you get in, you start selling your soul to grow. And by the time you reach the top, you forget who you were when you began the journey. So often when young people come to me saying that they're unhappy, I'll say, you are the abused today, you'll become the abuser tomorrow. So if you can take the abuse and not lose yourself, and when you have the power to abuse, decide not to, and be kind, I think then we will have more people who will move the country in the right direction. So with these few words, we congratulate you. Very happy for you all. Wish you all the best, and I'm sure other members here have more thoughts to share. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bharat Garu, for those important words, reminding us of Kautilya's vision of patient and dedicated service and the importance of kindness in public service. I now request the co-founder of the Kautilya School of Public Policy, Shri Prateek Kanwal, to introduce our chief guest, Shri Amitabh Kant.
Thank you. A warm welcome to everybody. I think it gives me great pleasure as a student of public policy to introduce our chief guest today. I think we're all truly lucky and incredible to have somebody who I feel is the modern architect of Indian public policy. And also, it won't be sort of far-fetched to call him the father of modern public policy in India. I think the kind of work he's been able to sort of spearhead in the last decade or so has given our country immense sort of opportunities, not only in India and globe, to sort of prosper. And I think while I was at the Kennedy School, we used to always look up to what's happening at the NITI Aayog. So I think in terms of his contribution to India, there is no better person to look up to in the field of public policy. And as you all graduate today, you'll realize the incredible work done by him, and you'll see that in action when you sort of step out in the world outside. In terms of a formal introduction, Shri Kant is a government reformer and a public policy change agent. He was recently the G20 Sherpa to the Prime Minister of India as India's Sherpa to G20 during the Indian presidency. He navigated the challenging geopolitical waters, steering the G20 towards a consensus on a decisive and an action-oriented New Delhi leaders' declaration, an essential document that outlined a clear path for addressing pressing global issues. Beyond his G20 role, Srikant's illustrious career spans key senior positions in Government of India, where he spearheaded initiatives that reshaped the nation's economic landscape. His journey in public service includes serving as the CEO of NITI Aayog, with Prime Minister as his chairman. His tenure also saw him at the helm of Department for Industrial Policy and Promotion in India and the CEO of Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor, and Secretary Tourism, Government of Kerala. In these capacities, he demonstrated an unwavering commitment to pursuing reforms, driving economic growth and innovation in India. Beyond India's border, Srikant has been a member of the steering board of Shaping the Future of Production Systems initiative of the WEF. He's also the champion of Edison Alliance of the WEF, which focuses on deepening digital inclusion in areas such as health, education, finance for developing nations worldwide. He received the prestigious Sir Edmund Hillary Fellowship conferred by Prime Minister of New Zealand. Is a Chevening Scholar and a recipient of One Globe Award for Leadership in Transforming Governance in 21st Century. In the dynamic and ever-changing realm of global governance, Srikant stands as an unwavering beacon of leadership, innovation, and transformative change, not only for India, but for the world. His journey is a testament to power of visionary leadership and public policy in shaping future of nation and global community. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me an immense pleasure to have Srikant as your chief guest today. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, sir. I now invite our chief guest, Shri Amitabh Kant, to deliver his address.
Mr. Bharat, the Vice Chancellor, Mr. D'Souza, Mr. Syed Akbaruddin, distinguished professors, the passing out students of the Kautilya Public School, and above all the parents and the grandparents who've assembled here today. First of all, I'm truly delighted to be here at the Kautilya Public School and to see this wonderful university. It has a lovely campus, and I'm delighted that Mr. Bharat has 3 different campuses of Geetam University, and that now he's ventured into the world of, other than establishing great academic institutions of India, he's ventured into the world of politics, and he'll shape India's public policy in due course. Ladies and gentlemen, all of you are passing out of this institution at a point of time when the world is going through immense transformation. But this is also a period of great opportunity for India. Broadly, 3 things are happening to my mind. Firstly, the relative period of stability that was established across the world in the post-World War II era with the establishment of international institutions like the United Nations Security Council, much later, the financial institutions of World Bank, IMF, and subsequently the World Trade Organization. This relative period of stability is coming to an end, and we are confronted by a period of conflicts. You're seeing a conflict in the heart of Europe for over 4 years. With the Russia-Ukraine war, you saw a war in Middle East, a much shorter war, but with many more calamities and many more casualties. And you're seeing this turmoil and turbulence in West Asia. So the period of stability has come to an end in international politics, and we are confronted by conflicts around us. Secondly, post-World War II, we had seen at least 3 big countries growing and expanding at a rapid pace. Japan in the right after post-World War II, when it grew at rates of about 9.6% for 2.5 decades. Much later, Korea, and recent times, China at a scorching pace of growth. They've grown and expanded because the global value chains and the global supply chains were working, and they were expanding. You could export, you could import, you could produce at the lowest costs and penetrate global markets. And if you look at the history of these 3 big countries, large countries, and a smaller country like Singapore, which also grew at rapid pace, they could do this because they could penetrate global markets. They could export worldwide, and they became the manufacturing centers of the world at that point. That period of global value chains growing and expanding has come to an end. And that is being replaced by protectionism, by reshoring, by friendshoring, and global value chains have been disrupted across the world. And therefore, your ability to produce at the lowest points is not adequate alone. There are many other regions and many other challenges we are confronted with, and therefore, global trade is being replaced by bilateral agreements and regional trade agreements across the world. And India itself has entered into different bilateral trade agreements with different countries, including Europe and UK. So protectionism, breakdown of consensus, decline of international institutions, all happening simultaneously. But in the midst of all this, you're passing out at a time when the world is seeing also the biggest rise in productivity. And that is happening. This is a very big force of transformation. This is happening because of the rise of data, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. And because of artificial intelligence, what was not possible earlier physically would be possible today. Your ability to transform the lives of citizens, your ability to improve learning outcomes, your ability to improve health outcomes, your ability to improve nutritional standards, stunting, wasting, all this, or improve the quality of lives of women across, will be greatly facilitated by the powerful use of artificial intelligence. And therefore, data, skill, talent, computing power will make a huge difference on how India grows and prospers in the coming years. But ladies and gentlemen, it's important to understand that all these challenges are happening when India is a $4 trillion economy. We are a $4 trillion economy. We are the fourth largest economy in the world. The Prime Minister has set a vision that we should move from 4 trillion to a $30+ trillion economy by the time we become 100 in 2047. That would mean that you have to grow at rates of 8.5%, 9.5% year after year. That's the policy choice for us. 8.5%, 9.5% year after year, year after year, for 3 decades or more. Very few countries have been able to do this. Only 3 countries. All other countries got caught in the middle income trap. As Professor Ratin Roy will tell you, that all countries get caught in the middle income trap, and over 108 countries have today caught in the middle income trap. And therefore, if India is to grow into a $30+ trillion economy, it needs public policy specialists. It needs public policy specialists who can drive growth. And my belief always has been that India needs to grow on the back of free enterprise. India needs to grow on the back of private sector. The government can at best be a facilitator and a catalyst of growth. In 1700, when India was colonized by the Britishers, our share in global GDP was around 30%. By the time we became independent in 1947, our share in global GDP had come down to about 4%. We had moved from being a major player in global trade to the periphery of global trade. And then the British Raj was replaced by license Raj in India for a long time, and the first wave of liberalization came only in 1991. But even then, several vestiges of the controlled economy remained. And just a decade back, India was termed as a fragile 5 country. From fragile 5, we moved into the top 4. And it's important for all of you to understand that India has been able to do this because it carried out vast structural reforms in its economy. It brought in one tax across the economy, the goods and services tax, which replaced 28 taxes, 18 cesses. It brought in the insolvency and bankruptcy code so that there can be greater financial discipline. It brought in the Real Estate Regulation Act. It reduced the corporate taxes 3.5 years back and gave away a vast sum of money, which has seen our private sector companies, their balance sheets doing very well. And it focused on ease of doing business. Vast number of structural reforms have been carried out. Much of that is getting reflected in Jan Vishwas 1 and Jan Vishwas 2. The attempt has been to digitize India's economy, eliminate rules, regulation, procedures, and scrap a vast number of laws. And India is probably the only country where almost 2,000 laws have been scrapped. So the policy choice has been that make India easy and simple for private sector to grow and expand. And that's critical. None of these countries, 3 countries, which have grown at rapid pace of growth, have been able to grow without unleashing their productive forces. And therefore, India needs to do that. And that will not happen as long as we have rules, regulation, procedures in place. So a lot of dismantling of that has been done. The second thing that India has done is that it's focused enormously on digitization of India's economy. And that's been as a public choice that we'll build up an alternative model to the Western part of the world. If you look at the Western part of the world, the technological growth has all come from large technology companies like Google. It has come from Meta. It has come from Amazon. It's come from Apple. And there, when you get on to any of them, your data is owned by them. But that's the model of monopolization of data. In India, we built up an alternative model, which was open source, open API, globally interoperable model. And we provided a digital identity to 1.5 billion people. Each one of you have a digital identity. And then between 2015 and 2017, we opened 550 million bank accounts. Every second bank account opened in the world was opened in India. At that point of time, only 18% of the women had bank accounts. Today, almost 88% of the women in India have a bank account. And that enabled us to seed the bank accounts with both the digital identity and the mobile number. And that enabled India to do fast payments. So all of you must be using your mobile to do fast payments. Then a number of young startups like MobiQuick, Pine Lab, etc. started providing credit based on payment history. And then a number of young startups like Zerodha, Grow, Upstock took the stock market to Tier 2, Tier 3 cities. The people of India started transacting on the stock market with their mobiles. And then young startups like GoDigit and Acco took insurance to rural areas. And therefore, India does fast payment, credit, it does stock market, it does insurance, all within 30 seconds to 1 minute on the back of the mobile, anytime, anywhere. This doesn't happen anywhere else in the world. But the model is open source, open API, globally interoperable. You can do this from Singapore, you can do this from Paris, and the model is that the data remains with the user. The model does not allow memorizing of data, and that is critical. It's a different model, the digital public infrastructure model. And that is what is unique to India. The third critical point is that we've built up a lot of infrastructure in this country in the last few years, and it's important as a public policy choice that we took our capex spend up from about less than 1% to almost 4.4% of GDP in the new budget. We built a lot of houses for our citizens, over 40 million houses. To understand the size and scale of that, the houses we built is more than the population of Australia. We've provided piped water connections to our citizens, 253 million, which is more than the population of Brazil. And we've provided gas connections to our women, which is 130 million women, which is more than the population of Germany. So the size and scale, and we built roads and expressways and highways, which is close to about 88,000 kilometers. As a public choice, we pushed for capex spend, capital expenditure spend. And we said that this will have a multiplier impact on the economy in due course. So, ladies and gentlemen, these public choices are critical for the country. And we felt that this expenditure will have much greater impact on Indian economy in due course. And the fourth thing that we've done is that we've consciously said that green growth is good, and therefore we brought in right policy measures which enabled Indian entrepreneurs to go for solar and wind energy. And India today does more than 50% of its energy is coming from non-fossil fuel sources. We've done now about 270 gigawatt of non-fossil fuel energy, renewable energy, and that is because we could build the right policy measures to attract private capital. And when the private entrepreneurship came in, they were able to attract private equity and venture capital and the best technology. So a good policy decision and structuring it in the right manner could enable private sector to attract private capital, PE funds and venture funds from all across the world and the best technology in India. And that these policy measures are very critical in many, many other sectors. I'm saying this because one of the key challenges of the West Asian crisis is that India must become energy independent. There are two critical choices which emerge from the West Asian crisis. First is that drones and missiles have demonstrated their ability to take on large capex spend in other forms. One. Second is that there could be maritime choke points which can impact global economies. And third is that energy independence is critical for a country like India. If you are importing 180 billion worth of fossil fuel, that's what India imports. 180 billion worth of fossil fuel. Now, fossil fuel is imported, but the energy from the sun and the energy from the wind is all Indian. And India is climatically blessed. No other country in the world other than Saudi Arabia has the same climatic condition as India has, but Saudi Arabia is flushed with fossil fuel, India is not. And therefore, my view is that as a policy choice, India should push for renewable energy and take it from 500 gigawatt target of 2030 to 1500 gigawatt by 2030. But that would mean that if you take that, you have to build as a public policy choice, you'll have to put focus on transmission grid and evacuation of renewable. Because if you are not today, last year we did 45 gigawatt of renewables. We must understand this. We think we've done a great job with 45 gigawatt. China has done 450 gigawatts last year of clean energy. So the size and scale is very different. Now 45 gigawatt, if you are not able to evacuate renewable energy, then you are not able to expand further, and therefore you need to build transmission and evacuation, but you also need to build storage, battery storage. Because today in India, renewable sells at 1 rupee in the day, in the morning, but sells at 10 rupee at peak time in the night. And therefore battery storage is critical. And for battery storage to be critical both for electric mobility, because you will have to electrify your transportation, and for energy storage, you need a policy shift that you're going to do battery manufacturing in India. And that would require you to have a hold on critical minerals. And while critical minerals like nickel, lithium, cobalt are available across the world, but processing technology is not. That's been monopolized by China. China monopolizes the manufacturing of solar, 92%, wind, 86%, battery manufacturing, 94%. That's the extent of monopolization. But it's not that the raw materials are not available. They are available, but processing technology is not. And therefore, critical mineral processing is key to the growth, and therefore battery storage becomes very important, and our ability to penetrate into critical mineral processing is critical as a public choice. And while you're doing this renewable battery, it's also important to technologically leapfrog into electrification of transport. So as a public policy choice, India needs to push for its two-wheelers and three-wheelers to electrify by 2030, push for buses and transport lorries, which account for about 49% of CO2 emission by 2035, and say that we will not register any combustion vehicles beyond 2035, which will be a combustion vehicle. We'll push for a cleaner energy. I'm saying this because as a policy choice, India must say that net zero is net positive for us. And as a policy choice, we must say that India will be the first country in the world to industrialize and urbanize through a process of decarbonization. We've not polluted the world. Our greenhouse gas emission is 1/10 of that of the United States of America. But irrespective of that, we must take leadership. And I'm saying leadership is important because all these countries which grew, Japan, China, Korea, they took leadership in technology areas. And if you continue with traditional areas of growth, if you say that I'm going to be an agricultural economy, I'm going to be a economy which will focus on textiles, you'll never be able to grow and expand. And that's why, as a public policy choice, India's pushed for the artificial intelligence mission, saying that we have the data, we have the talent, we are going to build large language models, but more than that, we are going to build applications to improve the lives of our citizens. And therefore, we'll provide support to young startups like Servam, which are doing multilingual and which will using local dialects. Many years back, Lee Kuan Yew said it's impossible to govern India because it has so many languages. It's a crazy country. You know, it has 30-odd languages. It has 3,000 dialects. Now, what was a disadvantage is a huge advantage in the era of artificial intelligence. And Sarvam has demonstrated that. We've pushed for the quantum computing mission. We've pushed for the semiconductor mission where 10 different countries are coming and manufacturing. And we have pushed for green hydrogen mission because our view is that we can use renewable energy to crack water and produce green hydrogen. Today, the cost of green hydrogen is $4.50. Our ambition is that by 2030, India should be producing green hydrogen at $1 per kilogram. The rates have come down sharply in India, but India should become the largest producer, the biggest exporter, and the biggest manufacturer of electrolyzer to export to the rest of the world. That is our ambition. So get into the new areas of technologically, new areas of growth and clean energy, as public choices are critical for India. So ladies and gentlemen, I've told you what our ambition is, but I should also tell you what our challenges is and why, as public policy specialists, you must confront these challenges. I gave you the international challenges of broken supply chain, of conflicts around the world, of new forces of productivity like AI coming up. These are international forces which India is confronted with. We do not have the same advantages of free global trade when other countries of the world were growing. When India's road to this long path of growth has started, it's confronted with several global challenges, but it's also confronted by domestic challenges. And it's important to highlight some of these domestic challenges for you to work on them as public policy specialists. First and foremost of which, to my mind, none of these countries have been able to grow if you're not able to improve the physical quality of life index of your citizens. The Human Development Index is very critical. If learning outcomes don't improve in India, if health outcomes don't improve, and if we are not able to improve stunting and wasting of our children in India, it will not be possible to benefit from the demographic advantage of India. And therefore, it's very important to improve the Human Development Index. And many of you, as you get into areas of public policy, don't look at just the glamorous aspect of it, but look at how we can improve the quality of life of our citizens and how do we improve learning outcomes and health outcomes using the power of artificial intelligence, data, machine learning, all this. One of the things we tried to do in NITI Aayog was to work on 115 of the most backward districts of India. When I was a young collector in Calicut in Kerala, I worked very hard, but it was impossible to find out how we've done. The results used to come published by the Department of Statistics six years later. Now you get data on a real-time basis. You can put that data in public domain. You can make people compete, and you can name and shame people. That's the power we used in aspirational district program to compare the transformation which is taking month by month by month by month, putting the data out in public domain. That is the power of data, real-time governance, which has come in. And you can do real-time governance anywhere. And that's important to my mind. The second is that if India is going to see 500 million people getting into the process of urbanization, India is a huge challenge. That's like two Americas being created in India, 500 million people in the next 5 decades. So India's ability to do good, smart urbanization, India's ability to create a lot of new cities which are based on walking, cycling, which are based on public transportation is the key. And it's important that we don't make mistakes like the western part of the world did. They created cities for cars and not for people. They were growing and expanding, so they based their growth on fossil fuel cars. It's important that we create cities where citizens can walk and drive and, walk and cycle. And therefore, it's important that we do recycling of water, recycling of waste, because urbanization will be one of our biggest challenges. And therefore, focus on good, smart urbanization. The third point I really think as public policy specialists is that some of you should go and work with the state governments. Don't think that everything depends on Delhi. No. India's growth story will be determined by at least 12 states of India growing at 10% plus. The southern part of India has grown. The western part of India has grown. It's the eastern part of India which is growing at very slow levels. And we need Bihar, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh all to grow with equity. And we need many good people to work in many of these parts of India to be able to transform these states of India, many of these districts in the eastern part of India. And therefore, many of you should really go forward and look to work with the states of India, which will be the driving factor in a federal polity of India. And the last point I want to make is that it's very critical. If you look at the history of all these countries, they all grew on exports. And that would require India to become a manufacturing nation. Our share of manufacturing still remains very low at about 16.5%, 17%. It needs to be taken up. And therefore, it's not the ease of doing business or the Jan Vishwas bill, which are important and critical, but it's the cost of doing business, which is very, very, very important. Our interest rates are high, our cost of power is high, and therefore, we need to benchmark ourselves against the world's best and bring down the cost of doing business in India. And that will enable us to become a manufacturing nation and then become an exporting nation to the rest of the world. And exports are critical irrespective of protectionism, irrespective of breakdown of global supply chains. With regional trade agreements, etc., we must be able to penetrate these markets, and it's important. And let me say the last point is that if 46% of your population is dependent on agriculture, then you need to enhance agriculture productivity in a very, very big way. Our agriculture productivity of all our major crops, when you benchmark them against the world's best, and that's something which is very important for all of you as public policy specialists to always benchmark whatever you're doing against the world's best. Lee Kuan Yew, when he was congratulated on making Singapore, he said, "Don't congratulate me. I've not done anything new. I just looked, everything in the world has already been done," he said. "I just took the best practice across the world and I improved it 15%. And he said that everything in the world has already been done. I just took that practice, the best practice in the world, and I improved it 10 to 15% and made Singapore." So everything from recycling of water, recycling of waste, to manufacturing of drones, to missiles, everything has been done. You just need to make it better and better and better. And that's the great public policy expert must do. We must innovate. We must do R&D. That's important. And we must make our universities far more innovative. We must allow our teachers to take equity in the startups which you people are establishing. We must provide more risk capital to all of them. And that's the uniqueness of the American university system. It produces startups and a lot of risk capital comes in there. And that's why the 1 lakh crore R&D fund which the government of India has provided to make India a far more innovative nation. So ladies and gentlemen, I've given you a perspective of what it will take India to move from a $4 trillion to a $30 trillion economy. I've given you the global challenges. I've given you what the challenges of India are. And now you'll be unleashed into the world of reality to be able to actually transform India from a $4 trillion to a $30 trillion economy. Actually, much of this success will depend on young Indians like you. But having pointed out all these challenges, let me say that I'm a great optimist on India. I'm a great believer in India. I'm a great optimist because I believe that this can be India's decade, largely because the demographics are very young. All of you are very, very young. The average age of India is just 29. Even when India becomes 120, 47, the average age will be 35. So young, rarely has a country not created wealth when it has low dependency burden. And it's a young India. Secondly, there's no country in the world which is creating 30 kilometers of roads and 12 kilometers of railway line every day. There's no country in the world other than India which has increased its solar energy, renewable energy 32x in the last 7 years. And there's no country in the world which does its payments all on mobile. 50% of the fast payments in the world happen because of India's mobiles. And no country has built up a very powerful digital system of digital identity and use the power of digitization to provide COVID vaccination of 2.2 billion people, which is totally digital during the COVID period. And therefore, we've used this power of digitization and digital public infrastructure to build up a very powerful model to democratize technology. And exactly that we should do for artificial intelligence. Use a DPI for AI to transform. AI will not be fit for purpose if we keep building large language models and use computing powers without transforming it for the benefit of citizens. AI will not be fit for purpose if it is not multilingual. AI will not be fit for purpose if we do not use it for transforming learning outcomes, health outcomes, and nutritional standards. You have a powerful tool in your hands, which our generation never had. And you should use it to really fuel the growth of India, but fuel the transformation of the lives of Indian citizens. So, ladies and gentlemen, I wish you all the best and all success. May you continue to grow and flourish, and continue to thank your great institution, established by Mr. Bharat, with a great dean here, Mr. Syed Akbaruddin, great vice chancellor, Mr. Souza, and may you continue to thank your parents and grandparents for giving you this opportunity to study in this very fine institution. I wish you all the best. But more than anything else, I wish you all happiness in life. You will have ups and downs, but always be happy, be positive, and be always optimistic. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for those important thoughts on how both India and the world have changed over the decades, and on your thoughts on India's priorities going into the future. Now, may I request our university president to please felicitate our chief guest. Thank you, sir. Oh, no, we have the pledge. Oh, all right. May I now ask our Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor D.S. Rao, to hand over the pledge to our student, Shehzana Contractor.
Yes, sir.
I request Professor D.S. Rao to ask the students to take the pledge.
Let the graduates now take the pledge.
Please repeat after me. I sincerely promise and declare that if admitted to the degree for which I am a candidate and for which I have been recommended, I will, in my daily life and conversation, conduct myself as befits a member of Geetam deemed to be university. I shall, to the utmost of my ability and opportunity, support and promote the cause of sound learning and strive to set an example of high principles and conduct. I will, as far as in me lies, uphold and advance social progress and the well-being of my fellow human beings. I will never make my knowledge subservient to unworthy ends. I will faithfully and carefully fulfill the duties of the profession that I am trained for. I will, on all occasions, maintain purity and reputation, and that I will never deviate from the straight path of their honorable exercise. Thank you.
Let the pledge of graduates be considered as admitted.
Thank you, sir. We now move on to the highlight of our event. I request our General Manager Programs, Ms. Shivangi Sharma, to present the candidates.
Good morning, everyone. Vice Chancellor. Vice Chancellor, sir. Permit me to present to you the candidates whose names are herewith submitted for admission to the degree of Master of Public Policy from Kautilya School of Public Policy from the Geetam deemed to be university. May I request the chief guest to present the degrees to the graduates? It's an honor to announce the name of the graduating students. Astha Giria. Abhijit Sudhir Raut. Abhiram T.S. Abhishek Behra. Abhishek Challa. Aishwarya Kaveri A. Akash Srivastav. Amal Shukla. Anirudh Pradeep Pai. Anushka Sharan. Avinash Kumar. Gavli Sejal Ravi. Vijay. Grishma Giridhar. Harish Nanda RK. Kabra Moin Harun. Kacham Ashrita. Kamble Sudhir Sham Sundar. Kartavya Kishore Madhav. Kriti Ganesh. Kriti Raj. Manan Khanduri. Meghnad Das Gupta, since he could not attend the ceremony today, so his classmate Pushkar will collect it on his behalf. Neelam. Parth Sarthi Shukla. Ravi Sujit Reddy. Ranjanikar Sanmesh Sanjay. Shehzana Contractor. Shreya Chauhan. Siddhe Srinivasa Chaitanya Pushkar. Simran Kaur. Tehniyat. Vaishnavi Shankar. Vidula S. Valkikar Sai Shekhar. Yana Gupta. Now is the time to announce the awards of medals. The first one is President's Gold Medal for the first ranker in the Master's Program in Public Policy. It goes to Shri Abhijit Sudhir Raut. Now, the Dean's Gold Medal for the best capstone thesis goes to Ms. Simran Kaur. And finally, the gold medal in memory of the late Shri Yanamendra Mallikarjuna Rao for the course Economic Freedom, Financial Inclusion and Digital Banking. There are two medals here. It goes to Shri Amal Shukla and Shri Abhijit Sudhir Raut.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I now request our Vice Chancellor, Professor Errol D'Souza, to admit the candidates to the degree of Master of Public Policy.
In the name and on behalf of the Board of Management of Geetam deemed to be University, I admit you to the degree of Master of Public Policy in this university, and in token thereof, you have been presented with these degrees.
Thank you, sir. Finally, I request the Registrar, Dr. Gunashekharan, to have the record of degrees signed by the Vice Chancellor. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I now invite our student, Ms. Anushka Sharan, to deliver the graduation speech.
Good morning, everyone, our esteemed guests, faculty, our loved ones, and my fellow colleagues. I am honored to stand before you on behalf of the batch of 2026, 36 of the most resilient, strongest individuals I've ever come across. A cohort that began the orientation week by solving simple problems in complex ways and ended the last week with capstones solving complex problems in systemic, coherent ways. We have come a long way, and somewhere along the journey, we became a family. From having our firsts to having our lasts, calling it 2 years feels both enormous and impossibly short. Right from the first week when we guided each other through blindfolds and tightropes, we didn't know that that would become the baseline for everything that followed. But for the context, for a non-Kautilyan, our families and esteemed guests, let me give you a glimpse of what a regular day here looks like. You arrive on campus and meet Dayanand Bhaiya on the way, who's always happy to see you. You walk into class and find Venkat Anna and the team completely engrossed in making sure that the markers work and the mics are functional, the presentations run smoothly and the cameras align, and 1,000 other details that we will probably never fully know. And if you happen to arrive early, Venkat Anna will look at you and say, "Huh, good." In between classes, you make your way to the informal cafe, where Ashok Dada or Sunny Bhaiya or Akul Bhaiya and even Bhavani Akka, now they know us so well that even a simple glance is enough. They'll say, "Sit down, breathe," and your coffee is already on the way. And in the middle of it all, you'll find Lalita Akka everywhere. Okay. She's carrying bottles, trays, boxes, documents, or somehow even managing things behind the cafe. And yet, she never forgets to look up and ask, "Hi, Ma, Acha, are you doing well?" Alongside Venkat sir and the AV team, quietly capturing every single moment of our journey, always the first to arrive and the last ones to leave. And when you enter Block C, there's the team led by Miss Ambika Phillips, Chintu Bhaiya, Ali Bhaiya, Kesava, Suresh sir, along with Sakina Akka and Sapna Akka, ensuring that at the end of each day, you come back home. But in the middle of all of this, you don't even always notice it because your most constant companion, more than your friends or your roommates, are your constant deadlines. So, only now do we realize that operations and logistics, the backbone of any institution, had one of the strongest spines here, led by Mr. Rajesh Panikar. Someone who absorbed every single shock before it even reached us. If we heard that there was a dragon somewhere, by the time it got to us, it was already tamed. And through it all, Shivangi Sharma and Shivangi Pandey saw everything. Our breakdowns, our small wins, our ambitions, they were the quiet reassurance when we felt a little low, and the gentle reality check when we flew a little too high. RTAs who stood at that perfect intersection of being just senior enough to guide us and just close enough to understand us. So we were our first responders, and then they were our immediate helpers. In moments where we could not even articulate the confusion and the panic was already resolved. Often you see that Kautilya is always delivering its promises. And at the forefront of all of it sits our faculty, our professors who took us as bare canvases and shaped us into individuals capable of standing on our own today. Dr. Kajju, Dr. Pillai, Dr. Rakhra, Dr. Pandey, Dr. Gautam. We may not remember every single slide or every reading we carry, but we carry the way you taught us. We carry the thoughts and the equations and the nuances that you taught us to look into. And Dr. Roy, who's with us today here, who taught us and who opened our minds into national objectives and prerogatives. And we are very fortunate to have you here with us today. Thank you for believing in us, even when we didn't believe in ourselves enough. And of course, no Kautilya story can ever be complete without mentioning our dean. Our constant, our compass, and occasionally our reality check, wrapped in the most reassuring calm. Sir, you have this incredible ability to make even the most daunting challenges sound like something we can perhaps tiptoe onto at least. And somehow we believed you every single time. Whether it was through your words, your quiet encouragement, or just your presence in the room, you reminded us that policy is not just about frameworks or institutions. It's about people, purpose, and responsibility. Thank you for leading us with the kind conviction and showing us that it is possible to be deeply thoughtful and deeply human at the same time. And for all the time we walked into your office slightly unsure and we walked out feeling like we had our life a little in control, even though we caused a little bit wreck in yours. But thank you for that magic. But what truly makes Kautilya's promises and takes it forward are your co-learners. My dear batch of 2026, through countless nights that turned into days, with many ups and downs and admittedly more downs, every time one of us needed anything at all we had to do was look beside us. And there you were. What Kautilya does not tell you is that in 2 years, you will find pillars of love, support, intellect, and oneness. You will find a family of absolute nerds with plans to touch the moon, but who will pause everything just to sit next to you and tell you that you are okay. And I must mention and commend our student councils throughout the 2 years who never settled for anything that compromised with our batch. We began with this one line definition of public policy, and I look directly at my batch as I say this. Public policy is the government's preferred solution for chosen problems. But it took us 2 years to truly understand the layers beneath it. That every step we take will involve trade offs, that every decision we make will have consequences that reach to the last person, that we must reverse the reach of the first and the last mile. As of 2026, in just 6 months, there are over 57 violent conflicts around the world. Men, women, children across identities continue to face unimaginable cruelty in the name of power. As we step into this world of consequence, I urge each one of you to look beyond the haze, to stand upright in the face of injustice and to use your intellect to fight it, and to fight for those who cannot. Dear batch of 2027, hardships will come, but hardships will teach you. Don't back down because it will be over before you know it. Experiment, learn, and find yourself along the way because that is what Kautilya is. It's in the nuances of pauses, it's between the lines of intents, it's in the questions and answers and rebuttals. It's the gap between policy and the beneficiary. And though our journey at Kautilya comes to an end here, as we step into a broken, wounded, but a very real world, I hope you carry a little bit of Kautilya wherever you guys go. Or as Billy Joel said, we didn't start the fire, but we tried to fight it. And my last wish for all of you is that may the fire within you stay alive. And long after we are gone, may it continue to burn. Thank you.
Thank you, Anushka. Thank you, Anushka. I now invite Vice Chancellor Professor Errol D'Souza to deliver his remarks.
So how do I bid you farewell and welcome you at the same time as alums of this institution? The best way to do it is a session on public policy, right? I'm not going to bore you with one, but given all that has happened today, I can't resist. Okay? There are two issues which are really facing us very clearly, very well delineated by both Mr. Amitabh Kant and by our president. Okay? But let me just put in my 2 pice bit before I bid you that farewell. Okay? You are the generation, as was very clearly told to you, where AI is the mover and shaker of the world. Every generation had its own movers and shakers. The world is always boom and bust. Okay? There is nothing like continuity. Okay? Similarly, in the world of AI, okay, we need to think about it is currently on a high. Okay? Just like shipbuilding was at one time, the introduction of cars, shale oil, they were all booms, or even Chinese residential real estate. Okay? In fact, the contemplation for investment in AI in the next 5 years by the hyperscalers, the Googles, the Metas, etc., Amazons, etc., is put at $9 trillion in 5 years. And what are they going to do with it? Most of it is building data centers that will actually sustain the AI that is going to, influence a large part of our lives. But how do we react to it? How do stock markets react to it? Just think about it. A few weeks ago, there is a firm called Algorithm. The CEO puts out a press statement saying that our newly built AI software will actually ensure that the trucking industry worldwide, which faces 30% vacancies in trucks, okay, because of logistics, okay, is going to be wiped out. Okay. The next day, the whole trucking industry stock market collapsed. Okay. And then he went on to say that, listen, this was only a statement of intent. Okay. This isn't necessarily what may happen, because I mean, why should the trucking industry give all their data, okay, to a small startup which makes a big claim? Okay. You also had, Anthropic, which made an announcement saying that we are now asking, our agent-based software to start working on white-collar jobs. Within a week, all software firms across the world, including India, lost $900 billion of market cap. Okay. So this is not a simple world. We're all looking over our shoulders to see who is disrupting us. Okay. And we are just not clear, okay, whether AI is going to disrupt or whether it is actually going to influence us positively. Okay. Satya Nadella very famously said, towards the beginning of this year, AI is going to bend the productivity curve, and then was silent. How do you bend a productivity curve? Ask an economist, okay? Very difficult to do. The data actually is that productivity levels have fallen across the world. Okay? You had Sam Altman saying AI is going to actually result in universal extreme wealth. I don't even know what that means. Okay? And you have Meta, which has just 2 weeks ago introduced stock options for its top employees, where you can only exercise the option, okay, if the shares go up 6 times. I mean, there's a high level of self-belief, okay, that something is going to happen. We know entrepreneurship is about overconfidence, okay. I mean, entrepreneurs don't really look at the costs very seriously. They believe in themselves, okay, and that's why you have busts. So the question for you as public policy experts is, how long will the boom last? Okay? The Chinese real estate boom didn't last, okay? And the amount of investment that took place, okay, was half that which is going on in AI. But there are other public policy matters which are as important. Okay? Currently, choke points were mentioned. Okay? A big choke point, okay, in the development of data centers has been obviously the war that has been taking place. Why? Qatar National Gas decides to actually cut down its production by 40% of helium. Helium is used in the production of modern chips. Okay? And it is very hard to transport that. Okay? It has to be cooled to something like minus 270 degrees centigrade. And then it is covered in an outer chamber of liquid nitrogen so that it is not affected by heat and evaporation as it is transported. But helium is just a small percentage of the cost of a modern day chip. So if the price goes up from what was $10 to 20, 30, 40, 50, no one's going to stop their production. Okay? And who are the guys who are producing? The TSMCs, okay, Samsungs, they are the ones producing chips, and now India wants to actually be in that race. But there is one small story that is hardly ever spoken about. Where is the risk in the supply chain? Who has the power in that supply chain? Okay. When I ask people who are in the software and AI industry, they are unable to tell me. But let me tell you that the power in the supply chain lies in one firm. As public policy specialists, we talk about monopoly, okay? And monopolies should be regulated. But there is one firm which controls everything. That firm is called ASML. Why? It builds the machinery which can make modern day chips. It produces the extreme ultraviolet lithography machines which are responsible for modern day chips. Its market power is such that it has a markup of over 50% in the last few years. No firm has a markup of 50%. And when you think of it, if that's a markup, there should have been a second runner, right? There should have been someone from Japan, someone from China, someone from Taiwan. There is no second runner. There's only one firm which produces that machine. Okay? And why is it so difficult to do? Okay, just think about it. When you produce modern day chips, okay, you actually need that there is extreme light which is used to pattern layer and layer upon the silicon wafer. And that is actually produced by bombarding with lasers on microscopic molten tin, which produces plasma that is even more, has a higher temperature than the surface of the sun. And that is then, that's not the end of the story. That produces that light, which is then reflected off mirrors, which are produced at an atomic scale. But again, just one firm in the world, Carl Zeiss. And Carl Zeiss and ASML together have produced this technology. Earlier, Canon tried, some other firms tried, they just gave up 10 years ago. No firm holds the power in the supply chain as does this. So should we, as a it's a monopoly. Should we regulate it? What should the world say about it? That's a question I leave you to think about. Whatever answer you give, today you're going to get an outstanding grade, because you are graduating. But I wish you all the best. Ask the hard questions. And don't shy away from the answers that come. Speak truth to power. That's really your job. As a public policy expert, you may be shunned. You may actually be in the doldrums because you speak truth to power. But that's for the benefit of the world. That's for your conscience. And that's what will give you the ultimate happiness that was wished to you by our chief guest. So God bless and all the best to each and every one of you.
Thank you, sir, for offering that broad perspective and those encouraging words to our students. As our graduation ceremony draws to a close, I would like to thank everyone who has made it possible for us to come together to celebrate our students' achievements here today. I begin by thanking our chief guest, Shri Amitabh Kant, for his presence here today. I thank the Geetam President, M. Shri Bharat, our Vice Chancellor, Professor Errol D'Souza, our Pro-Vice Chancellor, Professor D.S. Rao, our Registrar, Dr. Gunshekharan, and the Kautilya co-founder, Shri Prateek Kanwal, for taking the time to be with us today. I thank all our guests, our visiting faculty, Geetam faculty, staff, students, parents, and other guests who have joined us here today. In particular, I thank our students' families who have traveled from different parts of the country to celebrate this important milestone with us. The Geetam Directorate of Evaluation, the Academic Affairs Office, Hospitality, Media, Operations, Housekeeping, Purchase and Finance, CATS, security teams and travel desk, including all of our drivers, have worked tirelessly to put this event together, and we thank them for their efforts. We also thank the Office of the Pro-Vice Chancellor for their assistance in ensuring the success of our ceremony. Our office staff, student volunteers, academic associates, faculty, media and AV team, operations team, program office, placements office, and admissions office have juggled their responsibilities with their work for the ceremony, and we thank them for all their efforts and enthusiasm. Thank you all for your contributions to this important event in the journeys of our students and of the Kautilya School of Public Policy. Thank you. I request you to rise for the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत
Thank you all for joining us to celebrate the achievements of our students. We request all our students and guests to join us for lunch in the Geetam Cafe. Thank you.